Now, Sun Ki-oh is my guest today, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and of course, a lifestyle expert. Yes, now he is the creative lead at the Sun Ki-oh Lifestyle Company. Now, what does this company basically do? It brings the best experiences to its clients. Of course, he's worked in corporate communications in the financial industry before he delved into the entertainment and lifestyle industry, which is a highly profitable industry in Nigeria today. Now, while the private sector has found ways to delve into this economy and see different avenues towards making it profitable, it's one that the government, specifically the tourism sector, is still lagging behind on. Perhaps doesn't see enough reason to build on it. Who would know? Private individuals, private investors from around the world understand that Nigeria is a fertile ground for hospitality and lifestyle. But how true is this? And to what extent is it likely that, you will be very profitable and work with high net worth brands if you decide to delve into the industry? Well, joining me on Arise 360 right now, Sun Ki-oh, live in our Lagos studio. Sun Ki, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me. So let's get back into this conversation. I've heard a lot about the nightlife industry in Nigeria. In every state, I think it's different. In Abuja, the nightlife is a different space. In Lagos, it's a different space. In Enugu, it's a different energy. In Owerri, it's a different energy as well. How true is this statement?
The nightlife is very, very different in all parts of Nigeria. But Lagos happens to champion everything nightlife. Because whether you like it or not, Lagos has the population, the right people that want to go and have the proper fun. So you get to see the other guys from these other states tend to learn or pick up ideas from the events or shows or how the nightlife business is done in Lagos. So yeah, Lagos is top tier when it comes to nightlife business.
But some people will argue, in what sense, say for instance, because that's why I started by saying, what are the metrics of measuring just how successful the nightlife space within a particular area is? Like, say for instance, in Abuja, we don't have a lot of nightlife kings, we have one person that I would say champions 80% of the nightlife, because in Abuja it's pretty seamless, okay? Your night probably will begin at Grey because you just want to vibe and chill. It's a lounge vibe, and then from Grey you might want to just pop by Play. There are alternatives to Grey. There's Paper. There are a couple of other places. Then you might just want to pop by, Play, because where else do you go? Or maybe Hustle and Bustle. Again, alternatives. But let's not forget that Play now has a diverse range of options. So while you have just one Hustle and Bustle, you have Play, you have Play Imperial. So those are two different options. Now, when your night has gone and gone and gone and then you're feeling bored, 345 is where everybody goes. Now, understand that 3 out of the different areas I just mentioned belong to one person. So in FCC, one person rules it. Now, in the East, it's a completely different energy. The same reason why most people would say, Cubana is not really my vibe right now, is the same reason why in other states, especially in the East, it's one of the biggest lifestyle environments. But in Lagos, there are too many options. You would just be exhausted and frustrated trying to figure out where to go. But what exactly would you now say is the metric that makes you determine that Lagos is where it's at? Lagos is where everybody should focus on if they want to do nightlife lifestyle.
So you realize that when it comes to Lagos, the core artists of Lagos are I'm talking about the island here, Lekki, Victoria Island. You realize that day in, day out, we have businesses opening. We have new restaurants popping, we have new clubs opening. If it wasn't a lucrative business, people wouldn't be taking their hard-earned money to go and be opening this business. And unlike other places, when it comes to Lagos nightlife does not sleep. Where you go on Monday is definitely different from where you go on Tuesday, it's different from where you go on Wednesday. Every day of the week have different places. And unlike, you said about Abuja as well, there are routines of how all these places work. So you start your night, let's say for example, on a typical weekend, you start with late dinner with friends from maybe Zaza or Kali. So from there, you move to obviously Library. Library is a new club right opposite the hotel. You go have fun while you read some books. From there, you move to Red Room, which is just not far from Library as well. There's Q-Lux, there's Hotbox. There are varieties of clubs. Like you said, because of the fact that there's this, we have social media, there's Snapchat, you see where it's buzzing, you see what's happening. So you're really just going with the vibe. But you realize on Monday, there's Obi's house, on Tuesday, there's Bang Bang, on Wednesday, like, different businesses have their days that they are popping, and no one is disturbing anyone. So Lagos is the king and will always remain the king of nightlife business.
I think what you can definitely say is Lagos has more options. You know, Lagos has a lot of options because just as you were speaking, that's not even my routine. If I were in Lagos, I'm going to completely different places. So you see, everyone can thrive depending on, you know, what they prefer. Now, for everything we've spoken about today, this is an industry that is, I would say, significantly dominated by private investors. Some of these investors don't even have a nightlife. They don't even go out, but it's something where they just put the money in and it's incredibly lucrative. Now, tourism is one part of Nigeria that I would say we're naturally blessed with. Look at what's going on with Hard Rock, for instance, the beachfront. That is a huge, huge, huge selling point amongst other locations within, you know, Lagos, within Abuja that can be used for greater things, but we're not just utilizing them so well. The other day, I was talking to a friend of mine about Calabar Carnival and Obudu Cattle Ranch. This used to be places that people would fly in from around the world to get involved in. But now what do we have? A substandard carnival and a dilapidated location. So how essential is it for the government to begin to pay more attention to these national treasures before it's taken up by not just investors, but realistically speaking, foreign investors who aren't even based in Nigeria, but then turning out the money and taking it right out?
So truth be told, I feel like before we get to the government aspect, the nightlife industry is an industry whereby it's not really accepted yet by the public. So that's why people like me, I have a project coming out soon. It's a documentary about nightlife, whereby I'm trying to just make it like people to see it from the educative and the economical and the tourist angle. You understand? We need to have, the minute we are being appreciated and recognized as a lucrative and a big player and as a big industry player, we would then have like a body, they get to tell you like, okay, to determine all of these measures from, okay, you are going through how to make these businesses more better, to improve it. There should be a measure in line, but we don't have a community, which is what people like me are trying to put in place. Then we can now go and meet the government with our plans to say, okay, so come 2023 in the nightlife industry, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. So all of these are of new age, and you will see nightlife industry get better like from time to time. Yeah.
Practically speaking, Sunki, what is educative about the nightlife? Tell me. I mean, I want to know, because someone might be watching the show and thinking, it's not past going out, you dance, you know, you vibe, you have a good time. But when you bring in the educative aspect, I mean, what's to know that isn't already known? Isn't it more experiential with regards to how the feeling goes?
Okay, so to a typical Nigerian or a Lagosian, they only get to see the end product. They only get to see the club, they only get to see the lounge, they only get to see the restaurant when it's ready for and open for business. So the educative part of it is you coming to see the back end of it, how we put all of this together, from the security angle to the concierge, to the DJ, to the music department, to the wiring, to the setup, basically. What work goes in during the day, how rehearsals happen, how we deal with the brands, the bottles, the input machines. It's a whole industry. It's a whole, same way you have a university, there are sub-departments in the nightlife. So you will be so surprised to a lot of things you don't know as regards nightlife. But just pay attention. My documentary is coming to take you on that journey perfectly well. Documentary,
yeah. You come back, and I'll send you to marketing, and you know you make sure that documentary is advertised properly, you know, on Arise. But thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. That was definitely intriguing to know. I know for a fact that with regard to the back end of the nightlife, it's faced major criticisms over the last few months based on events that have taken place. But thanks for joining me on the show.